Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Harshit, the CEO and co-founder at Appknox. Hello,
Yeah. Hi, Christian. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Please tell us what your company does.
Yeah. So, Christian, we run a mobile application security testing company. We have built an automated suite that helps Fortune 500s across the globe to secure their mobile application as and when businesses keep on updating and release a new version of the mobile apps.
What is the biggest problem to solve for
Problem to solve. Yeah. So majorly for enterprises who have many number of applications, it is very difficult for them to keep a track on how much secure their applications are across the board. So we work with them to set up better processes, understanding what all applications they have, tracking their applications, ensuring that the apps that are on the Play Store are the latest version, more secured versions, and setting up the entire end-to-end mobile app security process internally for these enterprises is what we are
Okay.
enabling them with.
Mm-hmm. What are the products that you offer?
Yeah. So our product is automated vulnerability assessment for mobile application,
Mm-hmm.
where enterprises can subscribe for a number of applications that they have. Followed by we have add-on features like SBOM, which looks at any third-party library, open source libraries, and all that the app is using, how secure these are. And the store monitoring, which as I mentioned, if the app is on the Play Store, it tracks that is this the latest and scanned version of the app or not, thus ensuring that it's not only testing in the testing lifecycle, but also once the app goes out on the Play Store.
What would you say is the most loved feature by our customers?
Yeah. So out of these three, ideally, our core feature is vulnerability assessment, which is most loved. The other two features are what we have recently added in our core of the product. Yep, I would say vulnerability assessment is the
Mm-hmm.
feature that's loved by all the customers, and that is looking adding the maximum value for all of our customers
Makes total
of the
sense.
product.
Yeah. What are the most common industries that you see with your customers?
Yeah. So common industries, we do work with a lot of FMCG. We work with some of the top FMCGs across the globe. Then some of the biggest airlines, which include Singapore Airlines, which include some of the airlines in Middle East and LATAM. These are some of the most common industries. Apart from that, we do enable uh, like oil and gas is another industry where we are working with a lot of enterprises. Government is another sector where in Middle East, Southeast Asia, a lot of ministries and all
Mm.
look for securing applications that they serve in their country across a particular sector. So yeah, these are some of the most common industries that have been uh, working with us since a while.
Thank you for sharing. I love to hear some success stories from your customers.
Success stories. So we do have a lot of success stories. We have been in business since last 8.5, 9 years, and we have worked with more than 400 plus businesses, out of which still we are working with 120 plus businesses that have been working with us since an average more than 2 to 3 years. So our churn is very, very less. When I talk about success stories, we are one of the highest rated in Gartner in mobile app security uh, with respect to quantity and quality. So our rating stands upwards of 4.7 out of 5 for more than 50 plus reviews. And these are all enterprises that I'm talking about, Fortune 2000s. Uh, if I look at more specific case study, I cannot name customers because this is linked to cybersecurity. But yeah, there have been cases where uh, we have enabled customers securing very, very critical security loopholes in their applications. We have made sure that some of the applications that are very, very critical, for example, we worked with a few of the ministry regulators to secure some of the major digital currency when they were implementing digital payment and all.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're one of the backbone for that mobile-driven digital uh, uh, ecosystem push with the regulators, where we scanned upwards of 70 odd banking applications. We detected issues in more than 30 to 40% of those applications. Those were critical and high. We helped the regulator work with the bank and fix those issues. So that was one of our best achievement till date, where we have worked with the regulator to make sure that before the apps go out, they are completely secured. Apart from that, the other is with respect to one of the Fortune 500 customer, Fortune 100 ideally, where they started with us with 5 applications, and today we are working with more than 500 applications. And
Oh,
it has been almost 6 years we have been working with them. So they grew the account slowly. It started with $5,000 account. Now it is upwards of $200,000 account for us. So it grew eventually once they started getting the value, and they kept on increasing the mobile applications load on our platform. So yeah.
what is the pricing for your tool for Appknox?
Yeah. So for vulnerability assessment platform for our billing works per application per year. So
Mm-hmm.
depending on how many applications the enterprises have, they have to pay for a year. And in average, the pricing for per app per year ranges between $3,000 to $5,000, depending on what all add-on features they are looking at and different aspects. Uh, and the lower end is for enterprises who have upwards of 20, 30 mobile apps that they want to scan over the year.
Mm-hmm.
And our average deal size for these enterprises ranges between 30 to $40,000.
I understand. I understand. How competitive is your space?
How competitive? I would say it's quite competitive because what we are really playing is not the price game, but the quality and in-depth testing game.
Okay.
Where all of our competitors generally offer around 30 to $40,000 for enterprises. But when it comes to the in-depth testing that we do, we are far superior. And that is our USP that we like to play on.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, pricing is not it's quite competitive. It's not on lower end, but yeah, similar to what all of our competitors are selling across the globe.
Okay. Okay. Uh, you said you started the company 9 years ago, right?
Yeah,
I love to hear the story of how you come up with the idea and
yeah.
yeah, the full
So,
story.
yep, definitely. So we started in 2014, and it was me and Shubho who were working on the security side of things. So Shubho, my co-founder, comes from cybersecurity, and I used to run another startup before this. And
Mm-hmm.
ideally, Shubho was a good friend. We both came from same college. And one fine day, he just broke open my entire startup code before Appknox, and I was surprised.
Wow.
And definitely that was the first point where I realized that cybersecurity is important, and we as a developer don't really care about it until someone really hacks it.
Of course.
Uh, 2 years down the line, we were on the verge of shutting down our company, and Shubho was also leaving his corporate job, and he both of us thought that let's start something on cybersecurity. I already knew Shubho's in-depth knowledge. He used to speak at Black Hat and all of the conferences. So he was one of the earliest adopter in mobile app security. Started with research and all around it. Around 2009 was the first time he started working towards it. That was early phase of mobile apps that were coming up. So yep, 2 years down the line, after that, 2016-ish, we had launched our first product. We were in the market. We had raised funding. We are lucky that we got funding very early before we were in the market, and
Mm-hmm.
we started selling. We started working with a lot of internet company. Any new internet company that used to raise funding was ideally our customer in those days. That was feeling good as well. But yeah, eventually we realized that all SMBs and early stage startups don't have long term cycle with respect to will they survive, not survive. They have their own fights. And
Yeah.
around 2019, we started focusing on enterprises. And since then, we have been focusing on enterprise. So since last 3.5, 4 years, we have been focusing on enterprise. We are working with 80 plus enterprises out of 120 total customers that we have. And all we have closed in last 3.5, 4 years. And we realized that we had great value over there, and the deal sizes grew from $2,000-3,000 a year to $30,000-40,000 a year as soon as we moved to enterprises from SMBs. So that has been one of the key learning in our journey. Uh, Post that we did not raise funding, we are still running on revenue,
Okay.
and it's going quite strong. We realize that uh, we have good customer base. We are adding new customers. We are growing at 60 to 70% year on year. That's a decent growth considering we have not raised funding. We are running on revenue, and the team is also growing. Everybody is adding a value to customers, to our investors, stakeholders, and everybody. So yeah,
That's a lovely story. How much did you initially raise?
yeah. So we had raised $750,000. That was
Mm-hmm.
in what 2015.
Okay. How big is the overall team right now?
Yeah, so we are 60-member team, and we are clocking in roughly around 3 mil revenue. And as I mentioned, we are growing at 60 to 70% year on year. We have raised revenue-based finance this year.
Mm.
That is more on the growth
Yeah.
to accelerate that, and it's equity free, so it's
Would you recommend it
something
to
that.
other companies?
Yeah, I think it depends. I'll be very frank. Depends what industry you are in. So
Mm-hmm.
in our kind of industry, I think cybersecurity, it's how long you have been there, because trust gets built over time. So if we have been in this space since 9 years, then a lot of enterprises look at us as one of the thought leader in mobile security. And ideally, if it was first 2 3 years, it was very difficult to build that. So in our kind of space, you need to stay for longer period and build your credibility. While if the space is quite competitive and competition is raising money and trying to grow very aggressively, then you need funding. So to be very frank, it depends where you are from,
Yeah.
which industry you are into, what stage you are into. For our kind of stage, I definitely recommend companies who know that they are going to grow, they are going to survive if they continue that way, and they know where they want to invest and grow. Then revenue based finance definitely makes sense, because you will grow and you will get the funds back and give it back, rather than equity. Equity sometimes in those scenarios are very costly if you give it very early. But yeah, so
Yeah, that's great. I was looking to hear your best piece of advice for a SaaS company that's looking to switch from having SMB customers to enterprise, like you
yeah.
did.
Yeah, so I think in our case, we learned it a little harder way. Around 2018-19, we were on the verge of death, where funding was drying up. We raised in 2015-18, our funding was almost over, and
Wow.
our revenue was not growing. And when we looked at it, we were closing 4 to 5 customers monthly, but the revenue from those customers was equivalent to the churn that was happening. So we were building a
Ah,
leaky
wow.
bucket. So that was not
Okay.
really working, and that's where we figured out that okay, we have one or two enterprises. So one of the FMCG global leader was one of the customer that we started in 2017. So around 2018, we realized that the value add from them was a lot higher than all smaller SMBs that we are looking at. So we repositioned ourselves. We started interacting with a lot of enterprises, and the first segment that we picked back then was banks. So we
Mm-hmm.
started interacting with a lot of banks in Southeast Asia, and in that year, we closed roughly 3 to 4 banks in the entire APAC region, which included one of the bank in India, one from Sri Lanka, one from uh, Southeast Asian country in Thailand. So we had closed few of the banks in these region, and that helped us generate a lot better revenue, which was consistent, because all of these were 3 year deals, and that
Yeah.
that also motivated us. So we just moved, repositioned our product, our platform to enterprises, starting with bank first, followed by airlines, followed by FMCG, and then slowly and steadily we have 3 to 4 verticals that we sell in enterprises that we focus on. And we have case studies. We now know what value we are adding to these enterprises, so the sale is quite easier. But yeah, that transition took us almost a year, and one of the key things that we did in that was uh, interact a lot with our prospects, the kind of prospects we want to go after, to understand what problem statement they have. So we did a lot of problem discovery call, where majorly it was understanding what challenges they have around mobile app security, how are they doing it, what is the biggest thing that they still see as an issue. So that helped us do a better positioning of our product and reach out to them later, and then grow from there. So ideally, if anybody is looking into switching from SMB to enterprise, the first thing is figuring out the right ICP which has the maximum problem that you are maximum value for that problem if you are solving it, and then try and uh, do a discovery questionnaire sessions with a few of them, understand the problem statement, try to reposition and go after the single vertical. Banking worked very fine for us in early days. Now banking is one of those vertical, but yeah, more revenue is generated from other verticals as well. But still, banking is a to go to for a new region that we want to expand to, and then we look at slowly and steadily expanding
Oh,
to
wow.
other verticals.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. I was curious to know what has been your biggest challenge since starting the company.
I think we have been through a lot of ups and downs. One I recently mentioned around 2017, 18 when we were on the verge of death. In fact, in during that 1 year, uh, like in morning to afternoon or around evening, we used to work with the team on getting things done, getting product released, features released, customers closed. And in the evening from 5 till night, we co-founders used to sit and discuss on what we'll do, should we shut down the company and all. So that was crazy time. I don't think we ever had any lower moment than 2018 in our startup journey. Post that also there have been ups and downs. Definitely, I think a lot of moments for any startup who has gone through COVID uh, 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 time. Also, like those 3 to 4 years were also 3 to 4 months were also filled with a lot of uncertainty on how businesses will go, what will happen. We had to make sure that we don't send a wrong signal to our team members also, because they were also equally curious what will happen to their job. Will
Of
will
course.
all of us survive or not?
Yeah,
And that was quite near to our first uh, uh, turnaround where we are on the verge of death. And we have been very open with the team with respect to whenever these scenarios are, we are through those. We just tell them that okay, this was the situation. We are very much out of it, but yeah, we really acknowledge the effort from the team and all.
that's appreciated.
So that has helped us ensure that a lot of team members who have been with us since 2018 ish are still there. They're working very very strongly with us. They know whenever we have ups and downs. But yeah, uh, with time, I think you also learn how to create some kind of cushion to ensure you don't land up at similar scenarios. So for first time founders, if I have a tip, I think it would be that manage your finances well. In our case, we only had a runway of 1.5 month, 2 month, when we realized that it was not working out, and we had to go back and let go of some of our very very good team members. It was very difficult thing to do. We made sure that we placed them, but still, those were very talented team members that we had to let go of, and it was because of our not so good planning. So yeah, I think I still feel bad for what we had to go through during that time, but definitely that's a learning for us.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
today, if I look at it, there has been a lot of learning, and like during COVID also, when we thought that this might happen, we just interacted with all the team members. We told that okay, what we'll do is, in case the situation gets tough, we'll just ask everybody to reduce their salary by 20-30% rather than firing anybody, and this will be
Hmm.
across the board.
Yeah,
Everybody had their acceptance, though we did not had to do that because cybersecurity did not had a direct hit. In fact, it grew in those time. But definitely there was a lot of uncertainty, not so clear on what really will happen to businesses, budgets, and all.
understand.
But yeah, that maturity happened because we had been through it earlier. We realized that during the time of difficulty, you need your team more than when you are in your comfort zone. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. What have been your best go-to-market strategies
Yeah.
for acquiring
So
customers?
there have been quite a lot of them. I think webinar is one of very good strategy that works effectively for us. But some
Hmm.
of the key ones, if I look at, first is we are selling to enterprises. So we keep on interacting with Gartner and all. We got covered by Gartner in few reports that enabled us to get in front of a lot of bigger enterprises. The second that has worked very effectively for us is channel partners. So we look at some of our complementary product and their channel partners. We reach out to them. We say that okay, let's work together. Who serve to similar ICP. So that works very effectively. Since we are a team of small 60 member team, it's very difficult to have team members based out in all the regions. And during COVID, it was even more difficult. So when we switched to enterprises, that was more apt time for us to go to other geographies. So the right strategy back then was to acquire more channel partners in different region and distributors and try and work with them. So that has worked very, very effectively for us. That has enabled us to close a lot of banks, a lot of government agencies because they prefer working with someone in local.
Of course.
Whether the vendor or OEM is from outside, that does not matter, but the face of whoever is selling is locally present. So that builds a lot of credibility. So it's easy selling rather than you setting up your office in Roho. So that has been another uh, GTM strategy that has worked very, very effectively for us.
What's one top KPI that you track for your company?
I think first is the MRR, what is our recurring revenue,
Of course.
followed by what's the churn, and the third would be the input and output cash flow. So these are three that I look at.
Mhm.
Individually, each department has different KPIs that they track. We are very much KPI driven. So if I talk about sales, then they have new sales, new MRR. We do have one time also, but we don't really track one time that closely. Then in marketing, it's more on leads that we are generating at top of the funnel, and website traffic more top of the funnel. Followed by, if it is customer success, then it is the usage rate, the companies that are on the verge of churning from the usage, we get that insight. So we keep a track on that and take action on it. So yeah, these are some of the key metrics that we look at in different
I love to hear
departments.
your vision for the future for
Vision
Appknox.
for the future, yeah.
Yeah.
So, with respect to mobile app security, we are already one of the leaders in mobile app security, looking at securing mobile apps for these enterprises. But still, the process is not 100% automated. So, we are looking at automating the entire mobile app security journey, where enterprises don't have to come on the dashboard, upload the app, or download the app. It should be seamless in their development lifecycle, CI/CD integrated, automated upload, automatic SaaS test, API security testing, followed by they get issues at the developer side immediately. They go back and fix issues. So it should be as seamless as possible. So that is what we are actively working on today. I think by this year end, the idea is to automate this end to end, followed by looking at adding more add-on features like we have launched as bomb and few other features now. So yeah.
I love to hear your backstory. So how you started your career?
So how did I start my career?
Yeah.
I'm an engineer, and before this, I was at a startup building the product. So ideally, both the co-founders, me and Shubho, come from engineering background, who love coding and all. And uh, in fact, for Appknox, when we launched our first product, it was built by me and Shubho, and then we voted who has built the better product, and then we move forward that okay, Shubho will be the CTO and I'll be the CEO. And then we transition to selling product or selling to customers, and it has been a good long journey because we started in 2014, and the first enterprise sale that we did, ideally the proper sales was 5 years after that. So it took me almost 5 years to learn selling because I come from engineering background, and it's very difficult for engineers to focus on customers' problem and more focus on what really we have built, what we have engineered and built. So yep, I think that was a tough journey, but yeah, that helped. So yep, I come from engineering background. Before Appknox, I built two products at my earlier startup, where I was taking care of building the backend and all, and working in the team for the entire product. Uh, and Shubho comes from cybersecurity background, as I mentioned. So he was into research and all. And before this, before Appknox, he was at Cognomalorate, taking care of mobile security, trying to work with them for mobile security. Again, joined at junior role, but yeah, he had detected a lot of issues at that enterprise. Like he had hacked their entry card system, so he had moved it to mobile. They even put him on bench after that incident for 15 days, that you're not allowed to work on anything. But yeah, that was a journey for him as well. And then eventually he got tired and he resigned from there. And then we started working on Appknox.
And what would be the best piece of advice you'd have for a starting SaaS founder?
Some of the key advices, I think that one of it I mentioned earlier as well, where the finance is very, very important, and
Yeah.
we as founders don't have much idea around finance, so we take it little lightly. It's not for good times. Good times, I think, effectively you are able to raise fund, you are able to get everything sorted, but in bad time, you will see nothing works. So that is one key thing. Followed by the other is speak to your prospects and customers as much as you can with empathy, and try to understand what their problem statement is, and when you are having conversation with your customer or prospect, try to listen, and then get into that awkward silence. I used to love that in my discovery calls, because whenever that awkward silence was there, the prospect used to talk about things that he would have not spoken otherwise, that were gold for us.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
ideally, I think we are not used to it. Whenever we are having conversation, if awkward silence comes, we break it with something or the other. Try to avoid awkward silence, but that is very effective. It's fine too. It is very good to have awkward silence. Actually, I think that's uh, a good sign. But yeah, uh, so these will be two major uh, tips. The third is definitely team, but I think that everybody says that if you're building a startup, you need a very good
Yeah.
team. So I'll not touch on that. But yeah, definitely you need a good team to execute things.
I have only one last question left.
Yeah,
What's your favorite SaaS product apart from Appknox?
there are a lot of it. I think Slack is one of the best product. We are heavily dependent on it, and I love the way they have grown and built it. Uh, that is one of the SaaS product. Then there are Notion. There is Notion. There are few other that I really love using. Airtable is another one where I love the pricing. I love the product. Gmail is wonderful SaaS offering. I think nobody can beat that. The kind of categories they've created and all for different use cases. Mm, yeah, these will be some of the top. HubSpot. Sorry, I completely forgot that. I'm with, at number one will be HubSpot.
Yeah.
Because we started, and the way they target their target segment, they look at early stage startups, try to give them for free for a year, then try to grow the revenue slow. We have been with HubSpot since 6 years, and during our toughest period also, when we were cutting down costs on any tool, HubSpot was one tool that was still there, where we were fine with paying, because number one, it adds really a lot of value, and the way they have priced it and they offer it, where they keep on giving you increasing the price 5% every year, plus the consumption increases if startup is growing. So we
Of
have
course.
grown from paying $500 a month to now roughly around 35 to $4,000 a month for HubSpot. That is like in last 4 5 years. But yeah, now we are in good phase for them, because we are generating 30 40 thousand dollar revenue for them, which is a good revenue annually. But yeah, they started with roughly $30 40 a month. So I think
They're very smart. They're
yeah,
very good at pricing. Yeah.
wonderful work they have done on pricing.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
No, I think I'm good. Uh, yeah, I don't have anything.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining and thank you for your
Thanks
insights
a
and
lot,
for the
Christian.
advice.
Yeah, thanks. Take care. Bye.